Welcome to That's the Word, wholesome tales for the whole family. I'm Father James Yamauchi. Today's story, Lost in Interpretation. John leapt out of bed that morning. He was pumped. Like many young men, John had struggled to find his calling in life. Would he go into the family business? Would he enter religion? Or would he do something else entirely? That question haunted him like it haunts so many young people today. As of this morning, John was no longer in that boat. He knew exactly what he was meant to do. Last night, he had a dream, a vision. He was in a beautiful palace, an edifice exuding luxury and power. Weapons glistened on the walls. Soldiers, impeccably dressed, stood magnificently at attention. In the middle of it all, John saw a woman, a beautiful woman, wonderfully dressed and looking at him. John asked, "What is all of this for?" A voice boomed above him. "They are for you and your soldiers." With that, John woke. He began packing immediately. There was no time to waste. He knew what was going to happen. He would be a great hero, mighty in valor, a great leader of men, with the greatest army in the world and the most beautiful woman at his side. John knew exactly what he was going to do. There was a great count in Apulia, a generous and mighty man. John would enter his service and there learn the ways of military men. That would be the start to his glorious career. John bid his family goodbye and set out on the journey. The journey would take several days, but he made good time, at least for the first half of the trip. About halfway there, while he was sleeping, he had another dream. This one was more straightforward. He heard a question. "John, who can do the most for you? The Lord or the servant? The rich man or the poor?" Confused by the simplicity of the question, John responded hesitantly, "The rich man?" The voice said, "Why then are you leaving the Lord for the servant, and the God of infinite riches for a poor man?" John asked, "Lord, what do you want me to do?" The voice responded, "Return home, for the vision which you have seen prefigures a spiritual work which you shall bring to pass, not by human counsel, but by divine disposition." A bit disappointed, but with a clear mind, John set out the next day back home. This was not his first impulsive act, nor would it be his last, but he did eventually find the spiritual work that God had in store for him. His uniform was not what he had expected. His followers were not what he expected either, but he and his men changed the face of the church. With their radical practice of following Jesus to the letter, when he said, "Go and sell all you have and give to the poor, then come and follow me." The man, born with the given name John di Pietro di Bernardone, who would wed Lady Poverty and achieve great honors and might, not on earth, but in the kingdom of heaven. Saint Francis of Assisi. And for this week, that's the word. John Peter, one would think that when doing a story on someone as famous as St. Francis of Assisi and someone who is known for such a simplicity and radical way of life, that it would be easy to tell a story about him.
Not at all. In researching this story, we were reading The Life of St. Francis by St. Bonaventure, which is the original authoritative life of St. Francis. Well, actually, it turns out, no, that's not the original authoritative life. There was an earlier one by Thomas of Celano. And he didn't write just one life, he wrote two lives. There was one that he wrote for the canonization, and there was one they commissioned later. That second one, he actually took out a lot of the miraculous stuff from the first one, and they made him write an addendum with all the miracles in it.
So is there a reason why he did that?
Not clear, but it's really weird the way that the book is written. And this story in particular was really weird because there is no reconciling the two versions of this story from those two books. And fortunately, the second one lines up with Bonaventure's, so we just went with that. And this story overall, I don't remember ever coming across a story in Lives of St. Francis that we read as kids. The reason why there's just all these different conflicting versions floating out there is politics, apparently, because there was a conflict at the time in the Franciscan order after St. Francis of Assisi's death as to how poor was radical poverty. There's the conventuals and the observants. They ended up splitting, and there is a long story that can be told about all the different Franciscan orders and how they have weaved their history throughout the centuries. If you enjoy That's the Word, please share the word. You can see the story extras for this story, Lost in Interpretation, at thunderrock.org, where you can see Thomas of Celano's biographies of St. Francis. Thunderrock.org is also where you can sign up for our weekly newsletter and where you can find our social links and our email if you have any feedback or story ideas.
Thanks for listening, and join us next Wednesday for another wholesome tale for the whole family.